figure this thing
Wow.
Blame guru, I'll let him start, guys. I apologize.
I usually say when you're a teenager.
Cole can't figure it out, we are in trouble.
Well, we're in trouble.
Good?
Yeah.
You are the man. Somebody buy that man lunch after lunch.
It says connect streaming software to go live. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
There you go. Got it? First and foremost, I would like to welcome you and thank you for coming and to our beautiful town in Sparta, North Carolina. I'd like to welcome the press that is here. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. At this time, before I do anything else, I want to introduce to you my fine staff and employees. I have my clerk, finance officer, Ms. Peggy Shope. I have my zoning officer, Mr. Kevin Dale. Megan Edwards is here as part of maintenance, representing maintenance, and the rest of the girls here up front. My maintenance staff and members of the Sparta Police Department. I also have Councilman Mike Palier here and Councilman John Brady. On the end is my father and my mother, David and Phyllis Brennan. Mama didn't raise no fool. And my dad and myself served our country in the United States Marine Corps. Therefore, we have certain values such as honor, loyalty, courage, and mine today, integrity. Let me first start off by correcting an error that has been posted in the news and on social media. Our previous meeting, there was only 2 resignations given that night, and that was the town manager, Ryan Wilmoth, and myself as mayor. The previous month, our attorney, and I have copies of those resignations here, resigned the previous meeting for different reasons. Her resignation dealt with her family and wanting to be with her kids and watching her family grow up and spending time with her. So this has absolutely nothing to do with our town attorney, Whitney Ivey. Does everybody understand that? Thank you. I want to start off by showing you where we started from. I was elected in 2017. There was 5 candidates, and we had the biggest turnout that ever came to a municipality election. I was fortunate enough to garner the votes enough to win the mayorship. I had never held a public office. I had never been in the public limelight other than calling ball games and coaching. So I've been used to being chewed out before by parents and angry fans and everything else like that, but not to the degree of being a mayor. These 2 gentlemen right here, Mike Palier and John Brady, were already on that council and have served the town of Sparta for over 20 years. The former mayor, let me give him a round of applause. The former mayor of the town was John Miller. And John Miller had come to me while I was working in the post office and said, "You need to run for mayor." He said, "You'd be a good one." I said, "John, I can't do that." He said, "Yeah, you can." Yeah, you can. At that time, Brian Edwards was our town manager. These men and the council at that time that was on board, and Brian took me under their wing and helped me start being a mayor. They give me the knowledge and the guidance, and they give me the freedom to do what I needed to do or what I felt like I needed to do a good job. In 2020, Brian Edwards decided it was time for him to retire, and he did. And we had quite a deliberation and a lot of candidates to choose for our next town manager. And the council decided on Mr. Ryan Wilmer. He was hired to replace Brian Edwards in June 2017. Or I'm sorry, 2020, I'm sorry. Thank you. She corrects me all the time. She gets me all the time. 2020. In August of 2020, what happened? The Great Quake. The earthquake came, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake struck Sparta. Unexpectedly and never have been even unprecedented. No, nothing like that has ever happened to us. At that time, we decided that we had to go and take some desperate measures. Along with Ryan's leadership as town manager and the town council at that time, we started making plans to make and repair the infrastructure here in this town. With the help of Sarah Stevens at that time, Deanna Ballard, Ray Pickett, and Ralph Heiss, along with Governor Cooper, they got us funding in the excess of over $50 million to fix our infrastructure here in the town. Ryan Wilmer was instrumental in overseeing these projects, presenting the budget at each session that we had each year, accomplishing our daily, weekly, and yearly goals that we had set forth. He had to make some difficult decisions along the way. Some of them he had to think out very much, and some had to be on that moment, spur of the moment decisions. Either with situations, contracts, and personnel. But there has been one thing that has been constant since I was elected in 2017, and that is the opposition from day one from a council member who was upset that their choice was not picked. Never voting for anything that has to do with progress or a budget or anything progressive. It has been a battle in every meeting, and if you don't believe me, go and look on YouTube, Allegheny Community TV, or come and ask Peggy Show to show you the minutes of all of our meetings. They are open to the public. I need to say no more on that. Since the new election of 2023, last year, we have had council members meddling in projects, personnel, and creating a ruckus outside of our meeting chambers and exposing closed session information. And for those of you that don't understand what closed session information is, a government body will go into closed session to talk about sensitive information dealing with personnel, land transactions or land sales, or anything else that has personal information involved. You cannot vote in closed session. You can discuss it all day long. And you can give a consensus to say, hey, okay, that's what we need to do. Okay, I see that, whatever. You come out of closed session and then you go to a vote. Each member, whether they've been here for 20 years or not, received a can and cannot do book of rules and statutes to follow. Cans and can't do's. I personally handed to that each and every one in this room. In January and February of this year, I learned of a plan to take over the town manager's position as part of a coup. I learned that council members that were involved planned on putting another council member in charge as interim town manager, which is against state statutes. It is illegal. Myself, as an elected official, or a town council member as an elected official, cannot serve in that capacity. The statutes are laws and rules of government that we must follow. They are our guidelines. They are what is set in stone. They are the commandments of government. And we cannot add or detract from them. The attempt, however, failed and was never made at that meeting. I had an employee that come to me and was asked to spy upon the manager's office from a council member. I also had a council member try to throw the same employee under the bus and wanted them to let them know everything that was going on in town. A rumor had been started that the manager was going to resign that evening. We had closed session on the agenda, and that closed session, folks, is stuff that we can't talk about until we get here and go into closed session. But that was Miss Ivy's resignation that night from the town attorney's office. Okay? So the town manager was never going to resign. Moving ahead, in February, on February 29th, leap day, I had to call an emergency closed session meeting to a situation that had been brought to my attention that needed to be discussed in a closed session meeting. Immediate response was needed. I had 4 council members present because this man was having some health issues and has not been well and was in the hospital. So from here on out, Mr. John Brady has not been in those meetings. I called that emergency session. I sent out messages at approximately 1 p.m. that day, and I had 4 council members show up. Personal problems, personnel decisions, whatever, we had to address that in the closed session, and the council was by Ryan Wilman. After a discussion in the closed session, no vote was made when we come out, and we all agreed to let an investigation begin on this infraction by the district attorney, Tom Horner. The meeting was adjourned, and like every meeting before, I tell my council members, we just come out of closed session. You cannot talk about what we talked about in closed session. You cannot do emails. You cannot talk out here in public with anyone. This is private information amongst yourselves. At 7 a.m. the following morning, I get a phone call from an Allegheny County commissioner. What happened in your emergency closed session? What are y'all doing? How did he know? Later, I received 2 emails that morning from 2 council members with the personnel information on the emails in a group text to the council. All the information that we had discussed in closed session. And in their words, a reversal of their views on how to handle said investigation. They changed their minds. That is illegal. That is now public information. Tuesday, March 5th was our regular scheduled meeting for the town of Sparta. And so many of you have seen that video, I'm sure. I stand here and I hold my head high for what I did and what I said. That meeting, 4 members were present again. Mr. Brady, with his health issues, was in the hospital. So I am not talking at him at all. I also had information earlier that day that some council members were going to fire the manager that night in closed session. Earlier that afternoon, I was at my son's baseball game, and I got an email from Ryan Wilman giving me his resignation to read at the meeting that night. And I have it here for the press. All that will be available after this press conference. That is public knowledge. He has said that's okay. Whitney has said hers is okay also, okay? That's public knowledge. He asked me to read it in the meeting. As the meeting started, I had a council member add that she wanted to add a personal matter to the closed session, which is good, because in my meeting I have a certain section that says, are there any additions to the agenda as presented? We added that, I added that to that, but I requested at that time, as you will see in the video, to postpone the closed session, being that my town attorney, my clerk, who had a family emergency, and my town manager were not present, and I had no one to take notes or question the council on any questions about anything in closed session. I asked the council to postpone. This council person said, nope, we need to go on. They had something that needed to be discussed, and we didn't have to take action, but we need to discuss it. So I put it on. As the other business throughout the evening went on, the votes on the agenda were all passed 4-1. And it came time for public comments. And that is when I read Ryan's resignation. I'm not going to read it here because it's on the video. If you want to hear it, you can go on the video, or if you want a copy of it, you can come get it. Immediately after I read it, a motion to accept and a second was shouted out. No discussion, no offer to table, no offer to say, hey, wait a minute, wait, he's not here, let's wait till he gets back so we can talk to him. No. Vote was carried out 3-1. 3-1 to accept his resignation. Immediately following that, at that time, a motion was made to make Mr. Kevin Dow an interim manager, throwing him under the bus that night. I stated to the council, he's not interested, he will not take it. I knew he wouldn't, because I had that discussion with that man 4 years ago before we hired Ryan Wilman. I tried to get him to be my town manager. The council person then said, he has to take it. I stated, no, he doesn't. He has the choice to do it or don't. He don't have to. You cannot order somebody to take a position. But here's the thing, folks. The town council, by statutes of the state of North Carolina, cannot hire and fire anybody at any given time. They do hire and fire a town manager, but they cannot do that like that and hire him without his consent and without going through an interview process, without going through posting of the job. It cannot happen. But we argued about it, so I allowed the motion and got a second out of it. And it was voted 3-1 that they would go through and ask Kevin Dow to be the interim manager. Which the next morning, a council member went to him and asked him, and he said, did y'all not watch what Wes just told me? And I appreciate you. another motion was immediately made that if he refused, that we go to the LGC and League of Municipalities to give us a manager. Which they do that. So that was voted on 3-1. At that point in time, in that meeting, it was then that I realized I knew what was getting ready to happen. I gotta be careful. The tide had turned in a different direction for our town. And I knew I no longer had the support of the majority of the board. At that point, in support of my town manager, who has done an exceptional job, no mistake about it, I stand with him, and therefore I turn in my resignation. Don't trust me when I say this, because the video don't lie. This man was sitting there in that meeting, and he can attest to this too. And I looked at that council and I told him, I said, y'all don't know what the hell you're doing. Did I not? Without any hesitation, again, no discussion, no table, no, hey, Mr. Mayor, don't do this. We need you. And I'm not tooting my own horn here. I'm just making a fact. Because I'm showing the point that the decisions were already made. The corruptness was there. Before I even did anything, the vote was 3-1. Without any discussion. Councilman Blair was the only one that had any gumption about him to say something nice about our town manager and myself. And I thank him for that. Because he was the one.
And I'll repeat it again, anybody wants to hear it.
Again, it's on video. So I asked to go ahead and go into the closed session because it was required, it was on the agenda, and a council person had already asked to go into closed session for a personnel matter. Pay attention to what I'm getting ready to tell you because this is very crucial. I asked for that motion, and I was told we no longer need to go into closed session. Business has already been taken care of. I made the statement we had to do it anyway because I had some information about a new attorney that was interested in becoming an attorney for the town. We got that, so we went into closed session. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what everything was said in closed session because that would make me a violator of what goes on in closed session. After our discussion, we come out, and I asked for a vote on the previous month's meeting about the investigation, about the personnel matter that happened from the previous meeting, and it was voted on 3-1, not to have the DA investigate. Another motion was attempted not to investigate anything. I stated that's not right. That's not feasible. It's going to fall into the lap of the Sparta Police Department to do the investigation. So at this time, with the camera right on me, I welcome anybody in the state, any auditor, anybody to come and investigate my town, my staff, my crew, and see what the hell's going on. But let me say this right now, and let me make it perfectly clear. There has been no illegal dealings. There has been no money taken. There has been nothing done from these folks in this room right here that stand behind me today. These guys do their jobs, and they do it right, and they deserve the respect that they get because, hey, this lady right here is the backbone of the books of this town, and by grannies, anybody that wants to look, whether you're an auditor, a citizen, a public, a defender, or whatever you are, you can come check out these books at any time. They are open. Look, at that time, I said I had been sitting there and I thought about it for a minute. I said, well, I can't just walk out and leave right now. I need to tie up some loose ends. I've got other boards that I'm going to have to step down from as mayor. So I made a motion, or I asked for a motion to amend my resignation to remain to the end of March. And it was voted on 4-0 to stay. With all these things that I have said here, there are so many more irregularities that have gone on with council members. Not one time has a few of them ever stepped foot in this building. I could count on my hand the number of times that they have stepped in this building to come talk to Ryan Wimmer about a problem, or an issue that they had with him, or an issue with a decision that was made without them having to worry about it. No, I can count them on one hand, folks. I can count on the number of times that a certain council member has showed up for Appreciation Day for my employees. I can count on my hands the number of times that a certain council member has come in and said, I want to thank each and every one of you for doing a great job. If they want to represent the town. Closing. I know everybody's tired of hearing me speak, but when I get going, I get going. At this point in time, as my resignation looms, I cannot trust the judgment of the majority of this board or its power to make crucial decisions that undermine my manager, my town, my staff, the goals that we all have set forth, the outside discussion of closed session materials, a plot to take over with unethical actions. I cannot represent that. My dad sits here, serving in the Marines. His duty speaks for itself, and by granted, my duty speaks for mine too. We were taught to be honorable and hold integrity and not lie, not cheat, not do anything that was unethical. And I have done that. And I will continue to do that. The direction that I see this board headed down is not one that Ryan and myself want or support. Dirty politics is dirty politics. Hey, I didn't realize it was that dirty. And if people are going to hate, 90% is going to love you, 10% is going to hate you, but the 10% seem to have the louder voice all the time. And we got to stop that as a community, and we got to come together and work together and stop all the negativism in our town and our county. It is time for this to stop. I will not tolerate being lied to my face by a council member when I question them about certain things. That is totally unacceptable. I have been more than open to my council members and given them every bit of information that I had on something that had come up or whatever the situation may be that I knew at the time. I give them the same information that I had. They do not consider the staff and have put employees in compromising positions by meddling in personnel matters and not following state statutes and common damn sense. We're in jeopardy of losing the $15 million that I went and helped get secured for our town sewer plant. If we can't get our act together, the state is liable to pull that funding back and we won't get it back either. The actions of these individuals are appalling to me, and it hurts me to the core. You, the citizens and taxpayers of this town, need to hold every one of us accountable for all of our actions. And as elected officials, we work for you. I don't work for my agenda. They don't work for their agendas. But let me tell you this. Town council and a mayor, you know what we get paid a year to do this job? $2,400 a year. That's not a week. That's not a month. That's a year. And it's, after taxes, it's lucky to be $2,000. But I cannot stand by and watch actions that are done behind my back, done behind this council's back, done behind my staff's back that are illegal and unethically while I'm here. I can't do it. Can't do it. I want to share one other thing before I leave. We have had the distinct honor, myself and Ryan, of leading this great group of people here in this staff and in this town. We've provided a level of service to our citizens that cannot be matched across the state. I'll put our record up against anybody. Our employees have been given 15% raises over the course of time, and now they are making more money than they've ever made before. Their benefits are better. They have insurance now. They have a new line of vehicles out here to drive in instead of those old beat-up, rusted things that sometimes we couldn't even get to a water leak with. These guys are out here day and night, fixing water leaks, sewer leaks, jumping in there, every one of them out there, whether they're directing traffic or in the hole. And if you don't like that, we're hiring. Come join them. If you don't like the way it's done, come join them. But they do the very best they can. At 2 o'clock in the morning, they're up and at it. All day projects down here. They're at it. We have been instrumental in getting us a splash pad in the park. We have upgraded that Krause Park up there, put a shelter in there. We've decorated it to the best of our abilities. We're getting a skate park, pickleball court, and a name that just keeps getting better and better. We finished up our streetscape project. We've put in all new water lines. We're trying to fix our sewer lines. We're trying to fix our sewer plant, all with the help of the state of North Carolina giving us the money that I went and asked for. My final words are these. On behalf of my family, I thank you for your support. I have never seen the outpour of messages that I have received in the last couple of days, showing me support, and hey, we're proud of you, way to go. Sparta will never have another better advocate to bring people here, or to brag about this town, or to do what is right, than the two guys that just turned in their resignations. These guys back here deserve the very best. The very best. And if that council don't give them the very best, then their ass needs to go. Sorry. Thank you, each and every one of you, from the bottom of my heart. You stay true, and you do what you're supposed to do. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking. Standing for what is right is never wrong. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you for your patience. If anybody has anything, I'll entertain questions at this time, and if I can't answer them, you're going to have to bear with me, because I ain't telling you what's going to happen in the closed session.
Since illegal activities have been documented, it will be up to the Sparta Police Department to initiate the investigation, or does it move on to the State Bureau of Investigation?
Sparta Police Department will initiate, and it will be up to them whether they want to pursue it with help of the SBI or DA's office, and anybody else that wants to come in and investigate, come on.
Can you tell us if an investigation has started?
No, it has not.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Bob?
Wes, this is a personnel issue that they're investigating.
This is a personnel instance.
Yeah.
That's all the information I can give you on that. Nobody in this town has done anything illegal. Okay? Nobody in this area right here has done anything that they shouldn't be doing. So don't point no fingers. Don't say it's corrupt. Don't say that. It ain't. We're trying to do the right thing. But the good old boy system is here, and I'm not sweeping anything under the rug, and I refuse to do it. Period. Period. I don't care who you are.
Do you know what the town's procedure is for replacing an elected mayor?
Mike Palier is the mayor pro tem. Mike Palier will step into the role as mayor, and he will still have his vote as part of the town council.
So he will act as mayor.
The town council will then have to select another mayor pro tem. In case Mike, or temporary, in case Mike was not able to make it. Anybody else have any questions for me before I absolutely fall apart? I love my town, I love my citizens, I love being mayor. I think I've done about as good a job as I possibly could do. Not that I'm not gonna be mayor and everything like that, I'm still gonna advocate for my town and my citizens and my youth. Those ball teams I've coached over the years, those kids, they mean more to me than you know. I'm still gonna be there cheering for them. And I suggest that you do the same. Folks, I appreciate your attention. Appreciate you coming out today. Appreciate WXII for being here. Thank you so much. Bob, appreciate you. Folks, it's in your hands. Thank you. Anybody wants any coffee, Bob? If you want some of them, you can have them. WXII, if you'd like to have them.
What?
I was just asking if you stop streaming.
No, not yet.
That was interesting.